I don't think there's anything that's certain in the world at the moment. There's a lot that can change, there's a lot that can happen. And I think that is in the back of your mind every time I'm going into work.
Adult trauma, ETA 5 minutes.
We've got an assault coming in. He's stabbed multiple times.
5-year-old hit by a car, dragged for 3 metres, degloved the right side of their scalp. Code red.
They're now saying partial amputation with a traumatic cardiac arrest.
This is just disastrous.
Travel by cow. I can't make that up.
Oh, it's a proper day today, isn't it?
St George's, London, one of Britain's busiest A&E departments, under more pressure than ever.
What are you doing?
It does sometimes feel like a battlefield, and it feels like a losing battle at times as well.
You need to calm yourself down.
I have 10 traumas and absolutely no space.
25-year-old jump from a 3rd floor balcony.
This is the point where we can make a difference.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
A place where life,
Best place to make friends, A&E.
love, and loss
Scariest thing in my life. I thought I lost it.
unfold every single day.
A life is not just a singular thing. Things that happen to you have a huge effect on the people around you as well.
You scare me so much, you know that?
All the patients you're about to see were treated in just one 24-hour period.
I see behaviour every day that reaffirms my belief in the inherent goodness of people.
It's all a bit of a shock, isn't it?
And I think I'm incredibly fortunate to work in that environment.
It's a lot to take in. He's the love of my life.
It's every mother's worst nightmare. We got the phone call about 3:45 in the morning. Your son's been in a car accident. We both drove down to the scene. It was just completely surreal. It was a sea of blue flashing lights, fire engines, ambulances. The car was on fire. People from the pub smashed the window and pulled him out. And then the car just blew up.
Hello, St George's. Medical trauma. Yeah. It's an adult male, yeah. Thanks, bye. Adult male trauma call in 5 minutes. 5. Yeah.
Okay, what do we know about the patient coming in?
A 20-year-old man is being rushed to St George's after a high-speed car accident.
Let's get antiemetics ready. You're talking about a vehicle that was traveling at high speeds and then came to a stop all of a sudden. When your body is traveling at 50 miles per hour, it continues to travel at 50 miles per hour. Just because the car around you stopped doesn't mean the body is going to stop.
The man's parents rush to the scene of the accident and are on their way to the hospital.
They were working on him at the time. Jacob came out on the stretcher, just covered in bubble wrap and silver and tubes. Half of me wasn't believing that this was happening, and the other half of me was thinking, is he alive? Is he dead?
Are they here?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, sorry. All right.
So this is Jacob. He was the driver of a vehicle that had impacted against a wall at high speed. The car then was on fire. Possible chest injury, tender tummy and pelvic bruising. His interventions thus far, he's got an IV cannula, his standard packaging, put pelvic binder as well, and he's a paracetamol and TXA at 0430 hours.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. Right, so shall we get him off the scoop, do a quick primary?
When you're looking at a patient who's had a road traffic accident, there are multiple injuries that could have occurred. Injuries to the spine, to the chest, some of them which are more obvious and visible, and some of them which are hidden.
Is that sore? Yeah, that's sore. Your temperature, okay? Where? The way you press. Oh.
If you turn on your side and you've injured your back, you may paralyse yourself, and we need to get a scan first. So this one's got significant abdominal tenderness, a blood pressure 125 systolic. We're going to do the pelvis X-ray.
A lot of these patients will have internal bleeding around the liver, along the spleen, along the kidney. Sometimes you can even have a pelvic injury, which can bleed a lot.
Do not move your neck. Actually, don't move any part of your body right now. So access bloods, and then we move across for CT.
We're going to go for a CT scan to see if you got any injuries.
We didn't know how injured he was. I felt numb inside. Felt complete shock. I was so worried.
Mind your hands there. Jacob, what's your date of birth?
20-year-old Jacob was brought to A&E after his car hit a wall at high speed.
OK, so what's going to happen is we're going to slide you onto our table, we're going to look at your head, we're going to look at your neck, then we're going to come and scan your body. So I need you to stay nice and still.
Breathe in and hold your breath.
Oh, dear.
Jacob's parents, Nikki and Paul, have now arrived at St George's.
Driving too fast.
Pray to God he hasn't been drinking.
Charged him, obviously speeding.
I'm not charged you with reckless driving.
He's hurt someone else, so I don't know what happens there. God, I feel so sick.
Tense.
Tired and shocked. Oh. I've got 3 children, Ben, Jacob and Abigail. I couldn't imagine my life without children. I couldn't imagine having only 2. I had to be 3.
OK, Jacob, we're going to be giving you that dye now, all right?
Jacob was born March 97. I didn't know with any of my children what it was going to be, boys, girls. We went to the hospital when I was in labour, and the nurse brought up some cream crackers. And of course, they were Jacob's cream crackers. And we'd chosen the name Jacob, and so that was it, you know. We knew then. It was a sign. I said to my husband, "There's a sign, it's going to be a boy." So he has been my little cracker ever since he was born. And that name suits him.
Crazy Jake.
He had his character from day one. You know, he knew what he wanted when he wanted it. But he was very easygoing. Very, very easy baby. He always loved dancing. And he would win many competitions at the age of 3. One competition, they said to him, "Well done, Jacob, you've won. And where do you come from?" And he said, "My mummy," which was really sweet. Motherhood is one of the hardest things ever. But it's just so rewarding. Good times and bad times, but the bad times you learn, and the good times you don't forget.
Jacob's parents. Hi. Pleased to meet you. Jacob is getting a CT scan of the entire body, starting from the head all the way across to the pelvis, and then we'll follow through. What I'm worried about is the tummy. We just need to make sure the internal structures are all intact and there's no significant injury that we need to deal with aggressively.
It's just so scary.
That's okay. Shall I get you some water? Okay, just wait right here.
Roll down, arms down. Well done, Jacob. Okay, on slide. Ready, steady, slide. Oh.
You know what? I like the black ones, and I like the red ones. But in wine gums, the white ones are the best.
Really? Why? Yeah.
A bit like pear.
Yeah, I love these. What happened?
Dropped off.
Got a sore bum sitting here. Sliding off. Oh. Got no meat on me. I didn't put cushions on them.
Need a bit of double-sided tape.
Yeah.
82-year-old Joan has been brought to A&E by her daughter Debbie after falling at home and hitting her head.
Sorry, Deb, wasting your time.
It's not a waste of time, it's got to be done. To have it looked at just in case it needs stitching or sticking. Mum's always been stubborn, very independent, done everything for herself. She's very outspoken, swears a little bit.
Mervyn. She's got a good shouting voice, isn't she?
I love spending time with my nan. Some people could probably think she'd come across as being rude. You have to know how to take my nan.
Mervyn. She's not here, can we go now? Probably got fed up with waiting.
Midsummer 2015, we booked up and we took my nan on holiday to Chelsea for a weekend. Right up until the day we were going, she was going about telling everybody that she was off to Chelsea for a girls' weekend. And it was one of the best weekends ever.
We had the time of our life. We went down to this bar where Mum was on Jaeger bombs. She tried every shot that she could, and if you didn't drink yours fast enough, she'd drink yours as well.
I keep sliding off of here. All right.
81 years old, getting up on the dance floor, Jaeger bombs, blackjack shots, licorice. She was having all sorts. But then woke up the next morning like nothing, fresh as a daisy. And I said, "How do you do it?" "Oh, you know what, it's just me. It's because I can handle it," she says, "not like you young'uns." She got a few nicknames. Miss Chelsea 2015, Nanny Jaeger. She certainly drunk with the best of them that weekend.
To have it looked at just in case it needs stitching or sticking.
Does it hurt when they stitch it?
No.
You'd say no till they do it.
I want you to sleep.
Trying to.
7-year-old Jackson is in A&E with a suspected skin infection.
Knock, knock. Hello, hi, having a quick days. Is this Jackson?
It is, yes.
Hi, Jackson.
Hi.
Show the dot to your face.
Yeah, it's a bit red, isn't it? So when it first started, was there any scratch to the skin that caused it, or any... What happened?
On Tuesday night, I was scratching it a little bit. And so then in the morning, it looked quite red.
Can you see okay out of your eyes?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Does it hurt behind the eye?
No.
No. And when you move your eyes, does it hurt?
No.
So okay, you follow my finger. Keep your head still though. Follow my finger. Does it hurt?
No.
Not at all? Right. I think, seeing as it's getting progressively worse, it probably would be sensible for us to do some blood tests. And that way we can give a dose of antibiotics through the drip and see how bad the blood tests are.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So we'll get ready, we'll do that. One of the nurses will come do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Very much.
I like your shoes.
Thank you.
How's your guy?
The chest and pelvis is just done. He's got bruising on both sides of the pelvis, and he's got some abdominal discomfort on the left side especially. Blood pressure? Blood pressures have been all right. Fine, good.
Doctors are awaiting the results of Jacob's CT scans after he was involved in a high-speed car accident.
He's awake right now if you want to come over.
Yep.
Right? Right this way.
I'm in a lot of pain right now.
Does it hurt on your chest?
My chest and then lower abdomen.
What was you both doing in the car?
I was driving home.
Right, you hadn't had a drink?
No, not at all.
Any weed?
No, I was actually a good boy tonight. I didn't even know what I hit, you know.
Bollard or something, or a wall?
Were you at the site?
We drove down later on.
Where you saw the car?
Yeah, well, from a distance, they'd cordoned the road off.
When you're a mum, you are absolutely 100% selfless in everything you do, in everything you have, in everything you want to give. Just shush. All right? It's a full-time, 24/7 job with no breaks, no stops, no pauses.
All right. I'm just going to take this binder off that's right across, all right?
Okay.
And we're going to repeat the X-ray once we take that off. There we go. That's it. That's fine.
Thank you very much.
Never imagined how crazy it would be.
We need to be out then.
Yeah, 2 minutes. You'll only be out for 30 seconds. So.
When you've got 3 kids under the age of 5, life is manic. Anybody who's got 3 children under the age of 5 knows how difficult it is to just take one of those children to Asda, let alone 3 of them. Challenges are the tantrums, the terrible 2s, the terrible 6-year-olds. The stuff that you kind of don't appreciate happens to every single family, and everybody copes with it differently. This is not easy. I used to look at other people and think, oh, wow, you know, they really cope well. But for me, I just felt like inside I wasn't coping at all. I kind of was always chasing my tail. You know, I felt like a hamster on a roller coaster. I could never get off. Just always on the go. Always, always, always. And nothing was ever easy. I didn't know how to say to anybody, I'm not coping at all. Because it was an embarrassment, you know, to say that.
Dr. Rahul, emergency. So, got a preliminary CT report. He looks like he's got some blood in the peritoneum.
Damn. You can bleed a lot into your abdominal cavity just because of the amount of space that's available. Your priority is going to be to identify where the bleeding is and if it can be treated conservatively or whether there's a need for any surgical intervention.
Just gonna have a quick discussion with you about what we know as far as the scan is concerned. He does have a fracture of the clavicle right there. That's the bone right there, the collarbone. He also has some blood in the tummy. So I'm assuming that it was as a result of the collision itself. Because it slowed down so quickly, he could have had an injury to the tummy when the seatbelt dug in. So we had a discussion with the surgical team. They're having a look at the scan as we speak, and they're trying to come up with a plan as to whether he needs any intervention, right? So as soon as I have more information, I'll keep you updated.
God, we'll go and make this tea in a minute.
Waiting room selfie.
Me as well.
No, obviously not. Oh, my face is awful. It blurred. I think it moved.
Right, I'm going to go and make this tea now. Melissa, do you want tea?
Have you not even made it yet, Jane?
No, I've been talking.
I broke 2 nails trying to clean up the house the day before yesterday. Because I was just getting them to an acceptable place after having those awful acrylics on, and both of them are bust. So.
Does anyone want tea? Yes, please. Tea? I'm going to have to go upstairs, aren't I?
Hi, Dean. Hello.
That's here to take blood now, so...
Why don't you come and sit up here, but bring your iPad with you?
Jackson is in A&E with a rash on his face. Doctors need to test his blood to determine the severity of the infection.
Okay. So it's Justin, is it?
Jackson.
Jackson.
Have you got do you need to put your headphones in?
These are so cool.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I'm going to put a tight bracelet on, OK? Oh, that's a good boy. Oh. You feeling poorly now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Look, we can give you a drink through it now, watch. Can you feel that?
No.
See, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Dad, I don't feel very well.
Oh,
No.
it's okay.
You're okay.
Don't look at the blood. That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Dad, I really don't feel very well.
It's a funny feeling, especially if you've never had that before, OK?
So well,
pop you on the
Jackson.
sofa? Yeah, come on then, let me pop you on the sofa. Oh, super boy.
Sit down then. Good, you're really brave. Right.
I'll be back in a moment, Dad, OK?
I feel really shaky.
I know. You'll be all right.
Oh, darling, hello. We're in the hospital. Jake's had a bad accident. His car rolled. I don't know, love. He's just had a scan. He's got internal bleeding and he's got a broken shoulder. I didn't know how to do life without getting kind of stressed. You feel stressed, you want to sit down in the evening, have a glass of wine, you know, because it helped me relax, and it did. And I used it to cope. When I took one drink, it was never enough. I always wanted another one, and another one. 2 or 3 bottles a day. Box of wine, the boxes were good, because then you didn't know how much you were drinking. I'd walk in and I'd have a glass of wine, and I didn't drink spirits, so therefore I couldn't be an alcoholic. I wasn't drinking in the mornings. I wasn't on a park bench. I was very presented nicely. I didn't smell, you know. I was quite normal. And it worked for a long time, but then you cross a line and you don't know when you've crossed that line because it's invisible. It's an invisible line. And you go over it and then you can't You can't ever come back. It got out of hand, probably when I was about 38. I think if I wasn't thinking about alcohol, I was drinking it, and if I wasn't drinking, I was thinking about the next drink, always.
What's happened to Mum then, Dad?
She's gone outside. She needed to get some fresh air. She didn't feel well. I think she was tired, to be honest.
Yeah.
From sleep.
I didn't like the person I was turning into. I was not being a mother, and I was taking myself away from the family. I did have blackouts. Sometimes I would take days off work. You know, I don't know how the kids got to school. I told my husband that I thought I drank too much, and he agreed. He said, yes, I think you do drink too much. And he said, let's both try and stop. And he stopped and I didn't. And then I became a secret drinker, so I would hide it. I don't think the kids noticed so much because I hid it very well. But I think towards the end, they would have done. They would have known. Abby was 7, Jake was 10, Ben was 12. And I felt so alone, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know why I drank the way I did. All I knew is to drink. I didn't want to live anymore, but I didn't want to die. And I didn't know how to stop drinking.
What about that day we went out for that day trip? You went over the red light and these people came, and then you drove along on a cold shoulder, wasn't it? You said turn left. On the hard shoulder. On the hard shoulder.
Oh, at last. You right? No, come on.
Joan is in A&E with her daughter Debbie after falling at home on the stairs.
My name is Besnik, I'm the A&E doctor. What happened, madam?
I fell down the stairs.
Okay, and how come you fell? Did you trip or...?
I was carrying too much washing down. I slipped on the 3rd step and went down, bashed my head on the post, you know.
Oh, I see.
And it's got a big split at the back.
Do you have any medical problems?
She'll tell you.
Yeah.
She's got lung cancer.
Okay, when was that diagnosed?
2 years ago now.
It's slowly steady at the moment.
Yeah, it's shrunk at the moment. They're quite happy with her now. She had radiotherapy for kidney lymphoma.
Okay.
She's had 2 heart attacks. She has high blood pressure.
Right, lots going on.
Emphysema she's got as well. Yeah.
Reasons for the fall can be many. We're going to check basically that your bloods are fine, your trace of your heart is good, because sometimes we find other reasons for it. Oh, that's it.
Mum wasn't really the cuddly, loving mum. I'm not saying she didn't love us. Mum loved us all to bits, but she wasn't she wasn't brought up with cuddles and kisses, and Dad was, Mum wasn't. She was always the tough one. Getting bored.
I'm getting annoyed.
Why?
Been here too long. Want my cup of tea.
I thought you might. At the start of World War II, they started bombing around London. I think she must have been about 5 or 6. One bomb had fallen in the tunnel at Balham Station, which was close to where Mum was living with her family. I think it was flooded and a lot of people were killed. I know my granddad and a couple of my uncles were down there to dig out people that had got trapped. I think it was absolutely terrifying for them. I think it's something that's stuck with Mum for all her life. A lot of children were evacuated to outside of London to keep them safe. I'm not sure who went where, but they wasn't kept together. Mum was sent out to Kettering. The lady that she was with wasn't very welcoming. Mum said that she'd wet the bed one night, and because she was scared. So she was shut in the cupboard as a punishment, which gave Mum a fear of spaces, and she didn't like to be anywhere enclosed. You'd never get Mum in a lift. It made her a very unsettled person. To be loved is all she wanted.
We need to have a blood test. Can I have a look at your arm?
Good veins, look.
Doctors are carrying out blood tests to determine if a problem with Joan's heart was the cause of her fall.
Oh, that pinches my skin.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
When Mum was younger, she loved to dance. So her and her friends, they would go to Wimbledon Palais, which is where she met Dad. He started taking Mum out. A few occasions where Mum stood Dad up. One time that she'd arranged to meet at the old classic cinema in Tooting Bec, and she came past on the bus waving out the window to Dad, who was waiting for her at the cinema. But Dad never gave up.
Relax your hand. Sharp scratch.
So they got married 31st of July 1954 and lived happily ever after. He always called her his treasure. Dad was Mum's rock. She never really went anywhere without him. Mum would never have got on without Dad.
Hi Jacob, I'm Christine. I'm one of the doctors on the surgical team. We've had a look at your images with the radiologist, and there is some blood in your abdomen, but we haven't got a formal report yet, so it's very difficult for me to say where that blood is coming from. Do you have any pain in your tummy at all?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it hurts most. Yeah, that hurts.
Here?
Yeah.
If there is a lot of blood in your abdomen, then it's likely that you might need an operation. It's called laparoscopy, and what we'll do is we will make a cut from about here down to the bottom, and then we'll have a look in and see what's going on. We'll wash out any blood. We'll see if you've got any injury to the bowel or anything like that.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me?
That done pretty quickly, the operation, if it goes ahead. Yeah. Okay.
It'd be done this morning.
Hi mate, so please.
Hello?
Were you driving?
I was driving, sorry mate.
All right. I'll come back and speak to you in a minute.
Hello.
For us to do bloods with him.
Yes,
He's admitted to being a driver,
yeah,
so...
Yeah, from my point of view, bring whoever you need and I'll sign whatever forms.
Am I in a lot of trouble?
Why? Why do you think you're in trouble?
Because the police come over and ask me...
Well, when you got yeah, it's normal. They have to come and check out.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all right. You don't have to be scared.
I'm just scared.
Right, Jake.
Yep.
Right. As I've decided the specimen should be a blood, I'm asking the healthcare professional to take a specimen from you. Do you still consent to provide a specimen of blood for alcohol and drug analysis?
Okay.
My drinking was a necessity towards the end.
It's a nightmare, isn't it?
I know.
I had stomach ulcers that were, obviously, with the drinking, you know, they were getting to the point of rupturing. I was given 2 months to live by the doctor, so I knew I had to stop.
Yeah?
I couldn't bear what the drink was doing. You know, it was taking me away from them. It was robbing them of a mother. And that wasn't fair. And so I sought help, and I got some help. And as long as you've got each other, as long as you've got good friends, family, loads of support, Never realise that you're alone. You can do anything.
Have you been drinking tonight?
I was drinking, yeah.
What did you? How much have you had to drink?
About 3 pints of Guinness.
Okay. Anything else? Using any drugs at all?
No, not at all.
But what have I said to you? Don't drive at all if you drink.
Yeah.
To my mind, it's all or nothing. Yeah?
Yeah. This means I'm going to lose my licence.
I don't know, Jake. It will do if you're over the limit.
But they've taken blood tests.
They'll find out easy enough, Jacob.
Yeah. Feels so guilty.
Shouldn't have had 3 pints and then driven.
Exactly.
You know that.
Yeah,
Your mum's
of
in
course.
recovery from alcoholism.
No.
What is wrong with you?
A lot.
Try not to be so focused on you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're gorgeous.
I feel guilty about everything that's happened.
Right, well, maybe this is the step in the right direction then to get you some help.
Jacob will be taken to a ward where the surgical team will closely monitor his internal bleeding and decide if he needs emergency surgery.
Should we go?
I've been sober 10 years now. If alcohol had had its way, I would have been dead a long time ago. And I'm not, and that's thanks to so much support of everybody. I have an amazing relationship now with all 3 children. I just love them so much. I wouldn't be the person I am today had I not gone through that. You know, it's given me a life beyond anything I'd known. I didn't know anything about me before I stopped drinking. You know? I didn't live, I just existed when I drank. I now live. And I live with a purpose. And with a full-blown meaning of being a bloody good mum.
Where are you going to put it?
Right, so what I'm going to do, do you remember it had a little wiggly bit on the end?
Yeah.
This one, I'm going to put your medicine through there. Is that okay?
Yes, I might look away so I don't feel sick.
I don't think you'll feel sick this time, but I think that's probably a good idea.
Jackson is being given a dose of antibiotics for the infection on his cheek.
I don't feel it going up my arm.
Yeah, you feel that one, that's the medicine. It's nothing to worry about.
Well, I don't want to feel sick again.
That's true.
Right, get another bandage.
There we go, let's wrap it up. I'll get you a proper one, because this will be a bit looser now. Then we're going to go upstairs to the ward, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well.
Pause it.
Well, you're going to get to see what hospital food's like.
Oh, but it's disgusting.
Are you ready to have some glue?
Did it hurt? No.
No, I think so. You're right. Thanks. Just stay still for me. You're not gonna feel anything, all right? Just my hand moving.
Doctors are waiting for test results to establish if a cardiac episode was responsible for Joan's fall.
Can't I go and come back? No.
It wasn't until Dad passed away that Mum started to deteriorate. To see Mum realise that she didn't have him anymore. It was hard. Yeah. She lost the love of her life. Mum started coming to stay with me. She'd be here for weeks at a time. And then she'd say she wanted to go home. And then when she got home, you'd get a phone call and she'd be crying. She didn't want to be home on her own. So often you go back and get her again. She needed you around. I suppose from then on, we really did get inseparable.
I ain't had nothing to eat all day. I've not had a cup of tea.
See if we can get you a cup of tea and a sandwich. She became the real cuddly, loving mum. And things changed and we got really closer than most mum and daughters.
It's almost like that switch was flicked and it was a case of, well, I do love you, but now I'll tell you more. And it wouldn't just sort of be like the odd occasion, it would be every time my mum and my nan spoke, or every time my nan and I spoke, or she spoke with one of the others. She'd always tell them that she loved them.
So we've done a few investigations and we checked if there's anything wrong with your heart, in the sense that if you have had any heart attack to cause this fall. So that has come back as raised, quite raised, which may suggest a heart attack. Now, for us to know for certain whether it's a heart attack or not, we need to repeat the blood 3 hours from now, because it's a bit too high for us to be comfortable with to let you go home just like that. Better to be on the safe side, madam.
Yeah.
Better to be, you know, just to make sure it's all okay before you go.
As time goes on, we're all getting that bit older, and I don't know how long we've all got each other for, so I just cherish and I appreciate every single day, minute, second that I get with my mum and my nan.
Well, she wouldn't put me in a bed for. I don't want to go in a bed.
Because you've got to wait and have more blood tests.
Yeah, I don't want to go in bed.
Well, because they'll take you around the other ward because they need this now for other people.
Jesus wept.
That's all right, you know the ward you're going, run over the side.
Will you stay with me?
Well, yes. You're ready. My greatest fear would be not having mum. She's my mum, I don't want anything to happen to her. But I know she won't be around forever.
There's a saying that mums are like buttons, that they hold everything together. My nan holds us together.
You know, we come to some close shaves to almost losing mum, and I couldn't face the fact that I'd ever be without her.
I've learnt that life's precious and that it's taken away. A moment within a second can be taken away. But, you know, I am here, thankfully, and so is Jacob.
There's no excuse for, like, drink driving at all. Drink driving's, like, the worst decision you could do. Now, looking back at it and realising that, like, obviously my mum had a problem. I should know 10 times better. The whole experience has just been a massive eye-opener to, like, who actually cares about you. My mum was at my side. All my family were. I think in future, for when I have, like, a future with, like, a wife and kids and stuff like that, and my kid does it, then I'm gonna make him feel my collarbone and let him know, like, I've done that, you're a stupid person, don't ever do anything like that.
I went up on a Thursday afternoon and she wasn't too well at all. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, she was still quite chatty and worrying about her hair not being perfect and how she looked. We'd tell her she looked beautiful, she always looked beautiful. Early hours of Monday morning, we knew Mum was going, and we just held her hand and chatted to her until that final bit when she just took her last breath and she went with Dad. I know they're together. They're happy. Yeah, Dad and his treasure back together again.
Hello, St George's. He's come off his motorbike. Open tib fib fracture. Adult male trauma call, 10 minutes.
My phone rang about 5 minutes after Sam left, and that instant I knew that he'd come off his bike. How can you possibly tell a 3-year-old that her dad's not coming home?